This is Money Motivation and Mike, and I am your host, Michael Wainwright. In charge of all the controls is audio engineer Jason Wright. And hello to you, world. This is the show that will change your life. Please contact us, info@mx3.vip, and you can find all of our content at mx3.vip or on YouTube at youtube.com/@mx3podcasts. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notified of all of the content when it's released on a weekly basis, which is always on Monday morning, typically around 9 o'clock. We're continuing today on our episode of our previous episode of talking about Murphy's Law and Wilson's Law, and leading into a couple of other laws of life as we rock along here. We're going to be talking about Kidlin's Law, Kidlins, Kidlin's Law, and also looking at Falkland's Law, Falklands, Falkland's Law. But before we get into those laws, let's talk about a few things that you, the viewers and listeners, have been doing for us. And Jason just gave me some numbers before we went on to the air. And here we are in mid-June, and in the last 24 hours, our podcast numbers, 1,726 downloads over the last 24 hours. Now, I know that's a small sample, but that's a large number for this show. And we are very, very excited about what just went on in the last 24 hours. And if you were to take 1,726, and since I have a math degree and an accounting degree, I'm definitely going to do it and multiply and come up with somewhat longer numbers. So 1,726 downloads over the last 24 hours turns into 12,082 downloads over the next week, which would turn into 48,328 downloads over the next month. So once again, thank you all for continuing to listen to our show, giving us your feedback. Obviously, the content, I believe, is very, very productive for you, and apparently it is due to the numbers that you're throwing it our way. Now, as all of you know, our youtube.com/@mx3podcast, just here we are, just a little over a month into our YouTube channel, but our watch time continues to increase, and that's how it's viewed by the hours. How many hours are being spent on your YouTube channel? Our watch time on YouTube over the last 28 days is up 60% over the previous 28 days. Now, they didn't work in a month. They worked in days, and in this particular example, it was 28 days. So just over the last 4 weeks, our viewers are up 60% over the previous 4 weeks. Thank you once again for continuing to show your support for our show, and lots of good things to continue to come on down the pipe. Jason, is this not episode 52?
Yes, sir. Episode 52.
Today is kind of like our birthday, our anniversary. This is episode 52 of the show Money, Motivation, and Mike. Obviously, Jason plays a big part in this. He's been with me every step of the way. But this is our 1-year anniversary, this show right here. And we're continuing to talk about the laws of life, obviously, and getting into a couple others. And then within that, talking about a few of the things that kind of are the rules of life. We're under the laws of life. So getting into the groove right now at Kidlin's Law. Kidlin's Law is a principle of problem solving that states if you write the problem down clearly, then the matter is half solved. This law got its name after Kidlin, a fictional character in a novel by James Carville, who used the technique to solve various challenges in his life. By simply writing it down, you have resolved half your problem. Now, we talk about on this show right here of goals and what goals mean. And they don't mean anything until you write them down. And the Kidlin's Law is right along those principles. In this particular case, solving problems. You have to write down the problem that you have so that you can see it and visualize it on a daily basis before you can resolve the problem. Matter of fact, some problems don't even get discussed on a regular basis because they're not written down. They're out of sight, they're out of mind, and away they go. So problem solving with Kidlin's, the first thing, the Kidlin's Law, is to write it down. And the belief and the percentage is that once you write it down, you're halfway home. So take that into consideration whenever you are trying to resolve a problem with your child, with your family, with your spouse, at your office, at your workplace, on your ball team, whatever it is. Let's write down our problems so that we can get after them and get them resolved. Now, under Kidlin's law, there are some different rules of living life. And one of those is have vision for your life. Now, obviously, I love the vision much more than I do love the dreams. So have vision for your life. When you do that, you're going to write that down. Kidlin's law coming right in, the vision, write it down, and then it becomes a reality. Believe in your ability to figure things out. If you've done your research, if you've done your legwork, if you have obtained the information, you have the ability then to figure things out. And once you do that, then you're on your way. Another one of the rules of life, in this particular case, the third rule of life is to have fun no matter what in chasing your vision. Well, I'm all about having fun. And sometimes it's more difficult than others. And obviously, when you're having success in life, when you're having success in your business, when you're having success in the workforce, then it's a whole lot more fun. One of the rules that I have in life is work hard and play harder. Have fun with it no matter what. That's the third. The fourth one is one that I really, really, really struggle with. Be patient but persistent. Patience is not something I have. I want it now. I'm into instant gratification. And in the problem-solving case, back up here with Kidlin's law, the patience that I have, I want the problem resolved right now. And sometimes that's just not a possibility. Even with the information, sometimes it takes time. It's like growing a vegetable. You write down exactly what it takes to put into that ground to make a tomato or squash or zucchini or whatever it is. And instant gratification is not going to come. But you've written down the formula for making gratification come. It just takes a little bit longer. So being patient and being persistent, maybe it's watering it every day. Whatever that case may be patient and be persistent. Another one that a lot of us struggle with, and I have at times as well, and that is love and respect others who are playing the same game. That would be your coworkers and within your workforce there. Maybe the people you sit by in your portable. Maybe it's somebody that you are on an assembly line with. Maybe you ride around in a truck every day. Love and respect that person because they're playing the same game you are. And we're pulling together here, we might have a better chance of succeeding than if we're pulling against each other. And there's a whole lot of people that do pull against each other because they think it's a quicker way to get up the flagpole than maybe doing the love and the respect way. Somebody's always stomping over somebody. Somebody's always stabbing somebody in the back. Make sure it's not you. Make sure it's not you at all. But Kidlin's law, the principle of problem solving, states if you write the problem down, you have clearly solved half the problem. So just remember that when you're getting into it. Now, that leads us in to Falkland's law. Falkland's law. Falklands. Falkland's law. And it specifically states, when there is no need to make a decision, don't make a decision. Save the brain space for something more important. The first thing I think about here when it comes to Falkland's law is people who like to hear themselves talk when really there's nothing to talk about. So if there's not a decision that needs to be made, then there's no reason to make a decision. When there is no need to make a decision, don't make a decision, which leads us into a couple of other things. What are some more basic rules of life that apply to the Falklands law? Here's 4 of them right here. Be impeccable with your word. So if there's nothing to talk about, don't talk. But when you do have something, when you actually are talking, be impeccable because your word is about all you have in this life. And obviously a whole lot of people's word doesn't mean a whole lot, but be impeccable with your word. A very, very difficult law under Falkland's law, rule, don't take anything personally. Now we know that's very difficult. Words are very expressive. Words are very hurtful. Words stick in your ears for life. You have to work real hard to get those words out of there. I know I have in my life, in some of the journeys and encounters that I have been a part of over the last 54 years. You cannot take things personally. The third rule under the Faulkner's law is don't make assumptions. People assume things all the time, and they make decisions off of assumptions. Just because it's raining, you feel that the ball game has been called off, let's say. So you don't take your child to the ballpark. And then the rain stops, or maybe it's not even raining at the ballpark, but it's raining outside your door. So you're assuming that something's not going to happen today. The game's not going to happen today. And then all of a sudden the game does happen. You missed out. Something as simple along those lines. So don't make assumptions. You need to stay on top of what you're doing, not assuming what you're doing. And always do your best. You know, I think for the most part, a lot of people give it all that they have. Sometimes it doesn't look that way because they have not informed themselves with the information and the knowledge to whenever they are out working their best, when they are given 100%. And remember, there's no such thing as anything above 100%. If you're given 110%, then that means you weren't given 100% to start with. So 100%. Always do your best. And like I say, I feel that most people do that. Unfortunately, sometimes it looks like they don't because they are not prepared for whatever it is that they're doing, the task at hand. Always do your best, but do your best with knowledge and information and use on these experiences and go get that information so you can do your best and you can look like you really know what's going on. 3 of the simple rules in life. We talked about some of the laws, and 3 of the simple rules in life that fall under Falkland's law is if you do not go after what you want, you'll never have it. So when you're writing something down, when we're going back to Kidlin's law and you're writing it down, if you don't put that action in play and you don't go after it, you're never going to have it. So go after it, because if you don't, you never will. If you do not ask, the answer will always be no. That old saying, well, worst thing they can do is say no. And lots of times they do. But if you don't ask, going back on assumption, we're just going to make an assumption that they're going to say no, then we don't ask. And how many times might the answer be yes? But we assumed, so we did not ask. And when you don't ask, the answer is always no. Remember that and put it in play as need be. If you do not break out of your comfort zone, you'll always be stuck in the same place. Their comfort zone is a scary place to be. Some people look at it as comfort, but it's probably the farthest thing from comfort. Because if you are comfortable, you're probably not progressing and advancing as an individual. Your personal growth has probably went into neutral, which we cannot deal with. We have to have personal growth, and that sometimes requires us to get out of our comfort zone. Make sure that you are continuing to grow on a daily basis, and that will require you to leave your comfort zone. There's also one rule that everybody should live by, and that is always keep things realistic. So many times we get out in la land. So many times we start dreaming instead of visioning. Always keep things realistic. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, and I did, and I've done it many, many times. But don't put so much pressure on yourself that you find it hard to move. Trust yourself to deliver what you need to. You're going to be able to deliver because you have the information, you put in the time, you know the knowledge, you have the experiences. Experience, period. Yes, I want somebody with experience. That's what it means. So trust yourself to deliver based on the prep work you've done before you take on the task. But always be prepared to cut yourself some slack when maybe you come up short. That goes back to another thing with goals. Set your goals achievable, but set them high. And if you achieve 90% of your goal, you're probably going to be very, very satisfied with it. You would think every goal I set, I should set it to make 100% of that goal. And of course, that is the direction and the thought that you want to go. But sometimes when you come up short, your accomplishment was still very, very strong, aggressive, and it was a personal achievement that most people will never get to obtain. So cut yourself some slack when sometimes the 100% of the goal is not reached. Set the goals high so that when you come up short, you're still very, very happy. And own up when you make a mistake. Own up to maybe doing something wrong. When something goes wrong and then it's brought to your attention and you lie your way out of, that was not me. I was not responsible for shutting the gate when all the cattle got out. That makes it that much worse because everybody knows that you were in charge of the gate. So when you make a mistake, own up to it. And then that particular mistake is over. When you don't own up to it, that mistake continues to get talked about over and over and over again. Maybe for years. Who knows? But the people who really know, most importantly, you, it'll never disappear until you set it to the side. Set it to the side by admitting to your mistake. We talked about setting goals. You always have to set goals. Most important thing along this life is to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey with some of the laws of life that come along. You know, we've talked today about Kidlin's law, and we've talked about Falkland's law. Then we've also thrown in some rules about life. Simple stuff that sounds like common sense. More than once on this show, you will be listening to my comments and my opinions, and you'll say, well, that's just common sense. We do that every day. But if you don't have it at the top of your mind, if you don't have it at the tip of your tongue, then it's not common sense. It's something that is not normal in your daily routine. It has to become a part of your daily routine. And if you're not out there trying to motivate and get yourself better, that particular thing is not going to happen. So always make sure you are progressing and growing and moving in the right direction. Money Motivation and Mike always tries to bring you content that will better your life, make you a better person, make your tomorrow better than it is today. You can always reach us at info@mx3.vip, and you can find all of our content at mx3.vip. And obviously the content is being watched and listened to on great levels right now as we continue to grow with where we want to go. And our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@mx3podcast. And don't forget to put the like, subscribe, and hit the icon bell so you can be notified of all of our new content, which comes out on a weekly basis. And here we are at episode number 52. Jason, it's hard to believe that we are a year into this deal and we're just getting started. Frankly, we don't even know what we're doing, and we're already a year in. So I would like to think that we have obtained a lot of information and a lot of knowledge to be able to run this show and bring you content on a weekly, regular basis. We are very happy where we are today while we pursue what we want tomorrow. And I can assure you that the best is yet to come. We're just getting going. We're just getting started with this show, mx3.vip. So we look forward to hearing from you. Please get in touch with us. Talk to us about the laws. Maybe there's some laws that we need to talk about of life that have not been touched over the last couple of weeks. Please let us know about those. So for everyone who's been a part of this one, and until next time, with Money Motivation and Mike, live your life the right way.